Hi, I'm Jono, and if you're new here, I do pencil drawings. I went to the shop and I found this really interesting product, so I thought I'd do a little product review video. They didn't sponsor me, so the product is this graphite powder that's water soluble, sounds really interesting, and then another one is this graphite putty, which is really weird. I have no idea how to use it. This video isn't sponsored by these brands, I just went and got these myself. This video is sponsored by, surprise, surprise, Squarespace, but I'll tell you more about them later. So let's try this, which is in another language. What is this? It's like a graphite paste. It says pasta here somewhere actually, so clearly pasta. All right, let's give this a try. I'm gonna open this up. Ooh, it smells like wood glue. So this is really cathartic. See how dark you can go? The issue with this is that I can see that it would just get my hands really dirty, so I'd be worried about working on this on a drawing that's, you know, almost complete and then smudging that. So that's actually quite nice. You can get some really good tones there, but it's picking up a lot of the paper's texture. So what I'd want to do with that is then blend that in with some cotton wool. See how well this blends. It blends pretty well, but it's kind of confusing. I can't imagine what you'd want to use this for. I suppose maybe you can like sharpen it. No, my hands are getting filthy. How would you apply it? You need to tell me. Maybe to get large dark areas, like that kind of works. That's cool. I like the tone that it's getting, like it's going immediately super dark, but it's also falling everywhere, so I'm making a mess. I wouldn't want to use this on an artwork that I've already started without actually practicing how to use it. Let's see how it smudges, how it blends. Oh, there's putty everywhere. Okay, let's see how easily this gets moved around. That's pretty cool, actually. It does this weird thing where it really captures the texture of the paper, and often I don't want the texture of the paper because some of these papers have a very almost robotic way that they're printed. So the texture is this like a lace or a tessellated pattern or something, and it looks artificial. It isn't like cold pressed paper that has a more organic kind of look where you don't really mind if it captures the texture. So I usually want to try and hide that texture, and this doesn't hide that texture very well. So let's grab a little piece of a kneadable eraser and see how well we can erase this, because if this erases well, this would actually be valuable. For me, I can't understand why you'd want to get your hands so dirty. All right, well, let's just see how dark you can get with a graphite stick in comparison. So let's see, let's compare. This is a graphite stick, 9B. So it definitely takes longer, it takes more energy, but I actually think that that's darker. I definitely think that that's darker than the putty. Okay, so I'd still stick to 9B graphite over this graphite putty. So we've got water-soluble graphite, same company, Art Graf. Okay, so is this in powder form? It is. All right, so there we go. The issue I have with store-bought graphite powder is that it can never go as dark as the graphite powder that I just grind myself. So if you take a 9B graphite stick and you grind that down, that's going to give you a much darker background and more contrast, make your drawings pop a lot more, so that's always useful. This is doing a pretty good job though. This is going pretty dark, so that's if you just use it with a dry technique to try and apply it onto the paper. Okay, now let's grab a paintbrush. So we'll take water, and fortunately this is watercolor paper. Actually, I really like those textures. That's really beautiful. Okay, so the paintbrush is just getting completely saturated. Oh wow, that looks beautiful as well. Letting the paintbrush release its graphite into the water looks very, very cool. Okay, so let's dry the paintbrush off a little bit and kind of use almost like a dry brush type technique. I'm finding it hard to control though, so I can't tell how dark it would be, and that's so important with drawing. If you're wanting to move into an area and get a really soft tone over a large area, you can't come in with like a blunt tool that might give you streaks or something like that you find hard to erase, or that just ruin the smooth tone that you're going for. It can ruin a whole drawing actually. Or you'll have to get creative and find a way of turning that mistake into a feature in the artwork. So this feels terrible. It looks horrendous as well. So for me with graphite, one of the hardest things to do is to get a completely even tone of light graphite. Like a completely even mid-tone is really, really difficult. If you push a little bit too hard, you get a streak, whatever it might be. And that's always been a challenge for me. So if I could potentially do that with this, that would be cool. The only thing I'm suspicious of is that I don't feel like I can erase this easily. Maybe this is the wrong brush to use, but I don't think so. Not a great job, but I'm kind of getting into this. And then what does shading look like? Let me get a smaller brush. This is kind of cool. Okay. Okay, we got a teeny tiny little brush, and the real test is going to come down to when I try to erase and we see how that goes. This would be so cool if it erased well. I would be very tempted to start using this in my practice. Okay, time to dry the paper. So you probably need a little trusty hairdryer. This is a Bosch professional hairdryer. Jokes, this is a heat gun. Don't use this to dry your hair. You'll burn your hair off. Moment of truth. Let's see if we can erase this water-soluble graphite. No ways. You're not erasing that. So that's a bit annoying. Let's try with a mechanical eraser. No, you're not even getting a little bit out of that. So that for me kills it. Like I would love to be able to use a product like this, but if you can't erase and you can't pull those details back out, I can't see the point of using it. I'm sure there's a bunch of artists that this is part of your practice and maybe your techniques aren't the same as mine. But for me, being able to erase is so crucial. And that's also the appeal of graphite. So working with graphite rather than working with charcoal, the reason I would do that is because of how easily I can erase graphite. I find it difficult to erase charcoal, even though I'm experimenting with it a lot. It's really tough to justify working with graphite over something like charcoal because charcoal is more challenging to erase. And now you're making the graphite more difficult to erase. I don't really see the point. Okay, so the next test we have got this little spray bottle, and I'm thinking of just spraying a small area of the paper and then applying the water-soluble graphite to that. So let's see how this goes. That's pretty cool actually. That's giving some really interesting textures. Maybe there's something here. Maybe what it is if you need a way to apply a medium that will blend into graphite well, then this might be the way to go because it's graphite tones. So if you're used to painting or something like that and part of your artwork is drawing and then you want to paint on maybe the background or something like that and you need them to blend, maybe that's what this is for. Okay, let me try this. Let's just try that area of the page. Ah, cool. Heat guns are hot. Who would have thought? So now the paper is scalding hot. I basically want to see if I can blend pencil work into that and for it to feel kind of similar. So I think the test would be if you can't differentiate what's pencil and what is the watercolor, then that actually would be useful. I'd use the watercolor graphite as a final coat, something at the end of the artwork that I know I don't need to erase or work back into. I think what the utility of this water-soluble graphite would be is to apply it over a large area and blend it in with your graphite powder or with your other graphite work, and the difference between them won't be too stark. So an issue that we often run into is if we manipulate the graphite too much, if we use too much linseed oil or something like that, which is something I've been using, and then I had a hard time blending that back into my graphite work because it was a lot darker than normal graphite. This seems to bridge that gap slightly. I'm getting really nice dark tones from the water-soluble graphite, and it's also really smooth when I use cotton wool or something like that over it. So that would be amazing for my backgrounds, and then being able to blend that slightly into the drawing could open things up. So I'm going to actually start experimenting with that with some original drawings. Let's see, I might come back to you in like a couple months time and show you another way that I'm doing things, but also go home, try it out yourselves if you're interested in this kind of thing. The putty I can't quite get, so if you know how the putty is supposed to be used, please let me know in the comments. The water-soluble graphite, I think I'm starting to understand, and I'm actually quite curious to try that out in one of my drawings. But until there's something remarkably liberating with being able to apply dark graphite and then still being able to pull it back out, I don't see any kind of substitute. Cool, so there, we just made a big mess. I hope you found that somehow helpful. This is actually falling everywhere. Before I end this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Squarespace. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, and they've played a huge role in my career. Not only in sponsoring these videos and helping me maintain this channel, but early on in my career, I was looking for a way to showcase my work and make it easy for clients to find me and get in touch with me. I didn't have time to learn HTML, and I was a bit overwhelmed by the prospect of trying to make a website that would just work, that you didn't have to patch or upgrade or do all of those things that you often have to do with other websites. And I found that Squarespace just did all of that effortlessly. I didn't have to patch or upgrade anything. I could register a domain with them and set up an online store. And most importantly, I could design a portfolio and show my work the way that I wanted to. Also, every time I got stuck work, their amazing support team helped me out instantly. So if you're looking at building a website, give Squarespace a try. And if you decide that you love them, use the software code and get 10% off your first purchase. Cool, there we go. I'm really interested in trying new products. It's always nice to see what can help you change your practice, give you shortcuts for something that used to take you ages, especially with all the dark backgrounds that I've been doing. If there's something that can help make that go a bit quicker, I'm going to be so grateful. So I'm going to give this a try, and it actually might help me a little bit. I hope you guys found this video informative or just enjoyable. Leave a like if you did. It helps the channel out in a huge way. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.